They point out that GIs in Vietnam collected and displayed Vietnamese ears, just as British colonists in North America collected and displayed Indian scalps. A final view might be that there was no clear cause, and certainly no clear purpose, that we blundered into the war because no subsequent administration had the courage to undo our 1946 mistake of opposing a popular independence movement. The fundamental blunder with respect to Indochina was made after 1945, wrote Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, when our government allowed itself to be persuaded by the French and British to restore France's colonial position in Indochina. Perhaps the seeds of America's tragic involvement with Vietnam were sown at Versailles in 1918, when Woodrow Wilson failed to hear Ho Chi Minh's plea for his country's independence. Perhaps they germinated when FDR's policy of not helping the French recolonize Southeast Asia after World War II terminated with his death. Since textbooks rarely suggest that the events of one period caused events of the next, unsurprisingly, none of the textbooks I surveyed looks before the 1950s to explain the Vietnam War. Within the 1950s and 1960s, the historical evidence for some of these conflicting interpretations is much weaker than for others, although I will not choose sides here. Textbook authors need not choose sides either. They could present several interpretations, along with an overview of the historical support for each, and invite students to come to their own conclusions. Such challenges are not the textbook author's style, however. They seem compelled to present the right answer to all questions, even unresolved controversies. So, which interpretation do they choose? None of the above. Most textbooks simply dodge the issue. Here is a representative analysis from American Adventures. Later, in the 1950s, war broke out in South Vietnam. This time, the United States gave aid to the South Vietnamese government. War broke out. What could be simpler? Adventures devotes 4 pages to discussing why we got into the War of 1812, but just these 2 sentences to why we fought in Vietnam.